Welcome to the Revo Report. We're inspiring faith with reason and reason with faith. It'd be cool is if your novel turned into a movie and you had this, this scene of like whatever that radiation is, right? And just, man, that would be, and then the cloth falling. That would be wild.
We're working on it.
Wow, I will be praying for that. That would be something else. Man, that is incredible. And the research, the depth of research that you've done to go into this is astonishing. As someone this deep into apologetics, what do you think is the most compelling evidence or argument for Jesus as God, for the Christian faith throughout all the studies you've done?
Well, as much as we've been talking about evidence and archaeology, I'm a presuppositionalist. I fully am on board with Van Tilian presuppositionalism, and I believe that the best proof for God's existence is that without God, you can't prove anything at all, because God is the creator of every fact that can be known and all the methods by which we can know those facts. And so there are no tools that an unbeliever can use to argue against God that don't actually find their source in God. And because of that, the Christian worldview is not the best explanation for the way the world is. It's the only coherent explanation for the way the world is.
Wow. Well said. Well said. And with Christendom right now, do you find that, because we're in Canada looking into the US, and we're seeing kind of this shift happening politically, spiritually. And do you think that, and I asked Dr. Jaina this question as well, do you see a shift happening right now, or do you see an openness happening right now that's different from, all your years in apologetics, in defending the faith? Do you see things changing, shifting right now at this particular point in time?
If there's a shift, it seems to me that it is one from where you're kind of wanting evidence to being skeptical, talking to people that are skeptical that there's even such a thing as objective truth. And you can't, if you sat around and gave the traditional kinds of evidence to people who don't believe you could even know objective truth, even if they don't articulate it intentionally that way, we have the spirit of the age is this skepticism toward truth claims. And that, I think, is the shift. That's the difference. So you end up having to do some work just to get to presenting evidence sometimes, or at least, starting to define your terms. That's just the history of the human race is different varieties of unbelief and different philosophies that are well-articulated unbelief that then apologists have to rise to the occasion and adapt to. So there's not one form-fits-all apologetic to every age, at every time period and every culture. You respond to the needs of people. And so right now, it seems like the need is for objective truth, to be able to be, you got to argue for that first, or at least as part of that argument, where it didn't seem like you used to have to.
Right. And, with Trump coming in and kind of reversing a lot of the woke, the woke legislation or DEI, do you think that there could be a shift towards that? Like before, people were saying, well, what is a woman, and how many different genders are there, etc. And with this this administration kind of standing its ground on that, do you see things changing towards the more conservative side, let's say, or towards the more, hey, actually, we've tried this. There is no objective truth and there is no objective reality, and you can be whatever you want to be. And do you think there is a trend going in the opposite direction, as if we've swung to one side and now it's kind of swinging back?
I don't want to get outside my lane of expertise here and get into politics. And I'll just tell you, I'm completely conservative and I voted for Trump. But Trump's not going to solve all my problems, and I shouldn't expect him too. But in regards of the toward the DEI stuff and the gender things that you're talking about, my sense, and I could be totally wrong, and I live in Nashville, and it may be different in other places, but my sense is that it's not a big shift at all. What it is a in my view, it is the dismantling of the suppression of those voices. It's not that there's those voices, it's just that they were stifled socially for various reasons, and you'd be stigmatized or punished in some way, socially or other, if you
or canceled even.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. So, that seems to be changing, but not that there are people who are all of a sudden convinced of a different position. It's just their voices were silenced, is my perspective.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting because I've never kind of thought of it that way. But you're right. It seems like a lot more people are speaking up now. So that might not be an indication that there's more people that are on that side, right? But they're just unafraid now to vocalize what they believe. In what do you think, as a pastor myself, what do you think churches can do to better equip, believers, not just to defend their faith, but to confidently engage with skeptics or the skeptical world?
I think it has to be express or implied in any teaching situation that what I said earlier, that the Christian worldview is not the best explanation. It's the only coherent explanation. And why that is, because we're told to take every thought captive, not Bible thoughts, not church thoughts, not Christian thoughts, every thought captive. And we are told to tear down these unbelieving thoughts. Now, we don't have to tear down the people, but we need to be able to know how to dismantle the arguments of unbelief, because they are fundamentally irrational, because they can't explain rationality in the first place. That's only something that can come from God. The use of laws of logic to make an argument are, everybody can make arguments, and unbelievers can have truth, and they can make beautiful things, and they can do virtuous things. But what they can't do is explain what makes the true true, and what makes good good, and what makes beautiful beautiful. They can't do any of those things because they can't ground those things. They have no way to do it. And that's what we need to be instilling in the church anytime there is a teaching opportunity.
Wow. And what have you encountered? You're a veteran in this. You've probably heard every argument against Christianity, right? What is, in your opinion, the best argument against Christianity?
Well, the one that is the hardest to answer is also the easiest to answer, which is the problem of evil. And what makes it the hardest to answer is that it's such an emotional problem for people. And rightly so. I get the emotional part of that. It's not necessarily a logical conundrum. It is the emotions tied into somebody going through profound pain or loss or something like that. And that, if you give the logical answer to somebody going through something in profound pain, that's not what they need. And so it just sounds cruel. And so the way to answer that requires a good deal of right timing, and the proper time to work through the problem of evil is when you're not experiencing it, so that you have guide rails to hang on to when you go through it, and we all go through it at some point. But most of the time, when people are really wanting an answer to that, it's because they're hurting, and that's the exact time where they're going to find the least benefit from it.
They're defensive also in that stance, right?
Yeah.